Conqueror's Blade is in the free-to-play version out yesterday, so you can jump in and download it and play for free now. And we're going to do some GTX 1060 benchmarking for the game. So let's go over real quick the settings. The PC settings, 9900K, all the other system specs are up there in the stock right here. And then we normally test 4 graphics cards, but we'll find out why we only test 1 in just a minute, which is the 1060. So basically, we're going to test the Conqueror's Blade. They're about 20-second benchmarks. We do PvP matches during actual fights to get worst performance-wise. There's your GeForce drivers 430.86. The game launches in 12 seconds, and then 11 seconds to log in, and then 23 or so seconds to get into the actual select your character. So a couple different numbers there, and we're testing at 1080p, so 1920 by 1080, and we also have a second resolution we'll test at 3840 by 1080, so super mega wide. So let's just jump into the game real quick. So here is the some of the footage we recorded on the Elgato with a second PC setup, so that should be good with not interfering with numbers. But basically what we're getting here is we test everything on highest settings. We see some of the graphic settings right here. Everything's maxed out, highest preload. So the first little benchmark is at 137, and here's one of the big fights. Conqueror's Blade, lots of medieval warfare, and you command units and everything, and you have to control points. So it's you versus other people and their units they're commanding, so it gets pretty intense, you could say. Seeing around 80 FPS, and we actually have a little graph we'll go into now, which sums up a little bit better. We'll check out some more gameplay in a second, but the first little fight we had around 89 FPS, and then 1% lows where it dips down. You might notice it if it seems to go like below 30, you'll notice like stutters, but 48 at the 1% low is pretty good. 89 for our second test, and then 99 for our third fight test. This was over around a 10-minute match. We just picked different fights, and we did a 20-second little quick benchmark. So the average was around 92 FPS, 48 1% lows for FPS. So pretty much good news is you can say that the GTX 1060 passes for Conqueror's Blade at max settings for 1080p. So that is good. And so we didn't really test any of this GTX 1660 or the RTX 2060 that we normally add in, but pretty good. And we also tested it 3840, which we'll go into in a little second after we talk about the 1080p gameplay a little bit more. So with the GTX 1060, the MSI card, we overclock our cards. They're overclocked already about 5%. We overclocked them another 8%. So it is boosting up to 1949 megahertz during gameplay. We're getting around 98% utilization. So that's pretty good. 83 Celsius, that's about where it starts not really boosting out past that anymore. Memory, we see 2700 memory being used. We'll see a little bit more in the higher resolution, but that was pretty good overall. CPU between 30 and 40 roughly during fights and everything going on there. And then we get one more fight we'll look at 435. We kill a lot of people in this, so mind the blood. There's a little bit going on here or there, but some pretty good gameplay, protecting the archers right here so they can finish off the enemies. Pretty good strategy. But you can check out, we'll leave a link down below for this video clip of me talking, 12 minutes of actual fighting. You can check out the performance, but pretty good overall for the GTX 1060. You'll be good with the 1050 most likely in this game. Worst case, medium settings, you'll have tons of headroom, as well as like a GTX 1650 should be way overkill. So next up we get to see at 3840 by 1080. So this is basically 2 monitors, a 2-monitor setup, or basically one really big monitor. So we're seeing around 54 FPS. So you're pretty much still hitting that 60 FPS mark. So you're good with even this setup. So as you can see, it's pretty wide. You can see around corners sometimes, and you get a lot more of the side of battlefield, which is pretty good compared to that view. So pretty good 54 FPS, and we're seeing around 3,300, so it looks like 600 more on the memory, so using some more pixels going on there, and looking like a 1936 boost clock right there, not boosting as high, so pretty good still. And aside from that, gameplay wise, that's good news. GTX 1060 passes the 60 FPS benchmark, so that is good. But basically the game is pretty fun. It got pretty addicting. We put around 5 hours or so in the first day. So there's PvE. Obviously you don't have to play PvP. PvP unlocks at level 10. You can just do regular PvE expedition missions. There's 8 versus 8. We just did the ghost town. There's a ton of different PvP maps. There's a couple more at least. There's like a green fields one, and then there's like a tower one in the middle. Not really a tower, but like a fort kind of thing. There's also a siege mode. We didn't actually play in the siege mode. There's a 15 versus 15 mode. And then there's, again, just PvE expedition missions. There's a lot of leveling to do, so you don't really have to PvP all your way up. I think we got to level 29 just playing for quite a bit, shooting around units and everything. So that was pretty good. There's 8 classes. There's a lot of different ranger. There's an archer. There's a like a gun or rifle shooting class, and there's a dual wielding class. We played the samurai longsword style fighting. There was a lot of skills and everything, but the best part was commanding units. So you got to have like 5 different units. You only could use one at a time, and then you could command them. We used archers mostly. Archers seemed pretty good if you could keep them back and defend them. They seemed to do quite a bit of damage. There was a ton of different units. There was cavalry. There was like 10 different melee units. There was around 30, almost 30. There was collision, so if you ran into a bunch of melees, it would be hard to get out, and you could use that to your advantage, get people stuck and just slash them and win the game pretty good. Lulu says swords and crossbows and archer arrows, so it seems like you like medieval war combat. So that was pretty good. There was a couple bad things that weren't quite fun. The balance, we didn't really get to find out too well. We only played a little bit, but the balance seemed like it could be out of whack because we were fighting level 10 people at level 29, and then when we were level 10 is when it unlocks. You could be fighting really high level people, and what high levels get you is more gear. I'm not sure how the gear was balanced, but you can unlock more skills, and the skill tree goes really in depth. I think 60 is the max level, so we weren't even we're not sure if it was split into 2 tiers, like capped at 30, and then another tier opened up. That was the highest level I saw, was 30. And then there's each unit. So there's 30 units, and each unit has their own skill tree, which takes a ton of time to max out. We only got to like one of our units was level 4, and we got to put in like 3 points, and it could go up to like had enough points to go on from maybe like 15, 20 points to actually max out. So you could definitely play for quite a while and get a lot stronger than other people. And we're not sure if there's a separate tier set for people to fight higher level players, but we were fighting some higher and lower level players. And then a little bit of lag, attacking lag. So some of the attack abilities didn't seem quite perfect, mainly because of the servers. A lot of people complained, which is one of the big mixed review components is we're lagging attacks. People had difficulty with that, frustration more. And then there was actually crashes. We crashed probably 1 out of every 5 games, but it only took about 30 seconds to get back in, 40 seconds to get back into the game. So you just respawned and then picked your units again. So that was a little bit frustrating, but overall it was pretty fun playing a massive fighting game with tons of units and everything going on and lots of action. So overall, the GTX 1060 is quite a good graphics card for the Conqueror's Blade game at 1080p at least, and even a little bit at double 1080p if you're playing super ultra mega wide. It's still pretty good at almost 60 FPS. So that was pretty good for Conqueror's Blade. And with that, we will have another episode tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific with some more tech and game news. And with that, we will be signing out. Pew, 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 pew.